Welcome to Present Poetry, a reading podcast with your host, Erin Crittenden. All poems used in this podcast are either public domain or used with permission from the author or the estate. So sit back, relax, and get ready to hear some poetry from the past and the present. This week's featured poet is Kristine Carrerow. Kristine Carrerow was born in San Jose, California in 1954, but wasn't exposed to poetry until the 3rd grade. Later, in the 8th grade, she had a teacher enter one of her poems in a contest, which she unfortunately did not win. However, by her senior year of high school, she had another teacher who was such a force in her writing that Kristine knew she would always be a writer. Over the years, she was involved in several writing classes and poetry readings, and the San Jose Mercury News published her Firefighters Tribute poem in 2002. 10 years later, that same poem was published in a commemorative book for the 10th anniversary of the California Firefighters Memorial, an accomplishment that had great meaning to Kristine because her grandfather's name is carved on the wall in Memorial Park, Sacramento. Since then, Kristine has written many memorial poems, but she recently turned to her roots and began writing poems about the Cherokee Indians. Her grandmother, Laura Leela Ross, was very proud of her Cherokee heritage, and Kristine is also a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. To honor that connection, she wrote a collection of poems reflecting Cherokee issues and stories, which she self-published during the pandemic as Cherokee Poetry and dedicated to her grandmother. Kristine wanted to honor her grandmother and the tribe that meant so much to her, and she now lives in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, about 40 miles away from where her grandmother was born. Laura Leela Ross was born June 20th, 1890, in Webbers Falls, Oklahoma, and was the second youngest child of 9 siblings. She grew up on a farm and learned how to sew her own clothes, quilt, knit, cook, and can food, and got into mischief whenever she could with her sister Nora. She was also fluent in the Cherokee language, a language she would use to reclaim her identity later in life. She sadly passed away at the age of 91, but not before rekindling the Cherokee flame in her granddaughter Kristine. The book, Cherokee Poetry, is dedicated to Laura Ross and is a wonderful reminder that, despite the difficulties of the past, the Cherokee Nation is still alive and well today. Cherokee Trail. Broken, bruised, and blistered were the souls of those who came from the homes and farms of Georgia. Cherokee is their name. Gathered and imprisoned, forced to leave their lands, pushed onto a winter path by government demands. Sorrow overtook them as they left their week to die, forced ahead without them, oh so haunted by their cries. So the trail paved with bodies and cemented with their tears was not to be forgotten. We pay homage every year. The ones who had survived them seized the spirit of their kin, moved to build again our nation. Cherokee is strong again. We strive to be community, supporting young and old, cherishing our heritage with stories to be told. May our actions be an honor for the ones we hold so dear, for the Cherokees who lost their lives upon a trail of tears. Cherokee Solidarity. I left my mark at Alcatraz, my heart at Wounded Knee. I fight against the pipeline, yet they say it's destiny. From Al-Hadam to Kinzua, the loss of land remains. A trail of broken treaties fall to eminent domain. You say to just get over it. It's been too many years. Still the spirits haunt us for the ones who shed their tears. Buffy St. Marie once said, "It's in the past you say, but if you chance to look around, it's happening today. Poisoning our waters, buildings through our land, trying to divide us when we try to take a stand. We fight to keep our buffalo, our water oil-free. We stand up for our people, for our tribe communities. As our nations rise together in our solidarity, may we natives band together to affect our destiny. Cherokee missing. Indigenous, anonymous, more invisible each year. Reservation women, cloaked in silence, live in fear. Who is missing? Who is murdered? Who was raped in dark of night? Were they taken and exploited, or did they just take flight? For some they live in poverty, or drugs became the norm. The anger and the hopelessness became the perfect storm. I will tell you, pay attention, for these women's lives are dear, or you doom these tribal people to another trail of tears. You drove these tribes to wastelands, took their property supreme. You made it that much harder for them to weave their dreams. So I beg you not for silence, but to loudly lift a voice and support these native women, for there is no other choice. For these women who go missing, we must finally realize that their value holds connection to the value of our lives. Cherokee culture. Our culture is alive for the sake of our kin, so no one can say how it used to be then. Our language is living, it is spoken with skill. We teach it and learn it, we're speaking it still. Making a tear dress with fabric that's torn, we weave with our fingers the belts we adorn. The art of an arrow, the workmanship grand, the launch of that arrow through agile trained hands. Not to live in the past, yet to know where we're from, teach the flute and tell stories to pass on to our young. For the tree that is rooted stands tall, strong, and free. Our roots are tradition. We are Cherokee. Cherokee Sisters, the story of Laura Ross. Two little girls of the Cherokee, running and playing, so happy and free. Laura and Nora, apart by 2 years, descendants of those from the Trail of Tears. A picnic, said Papa, we'll have for today. Our neighbor has melons, you girls know the way. So they mounted on bareback, the old family mare, through meadow and creek until they were there. Their neighbor grew melons as big as a ball. He handed one to them. Be careful, don't fall. Laura and Nora knew how to behave, said "Wado" to their neighbor, and cast him a wave. They got back to the creek for the mare to walk through, but this time surprise them is what she would do. She leapt in the air and performed such a jump. The girls, they held on, but the melon went bump. So they slid from the mare, and the melon they ate. Then they started for home. They were so very late. Papa took one look, and he started to grin. Looks like you've had some adventure again. They told him about the big jump in the fall, how they ate a big melon as round as a ball, how we certainly missed that incredible taste, but they couldn't just leave it to waste. So the laughter ensued, and it spread to all three, then erupted again when she told this to me. Thank you for listening to this episode of Present Poetry. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review, share us on social media, or subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you would like to learn more about the featured poet, or you would like your work featured on the podcast, please check out the links in the show notes. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.